Hello, I'm Anne Curtis, and if you're looking for a cure for cancer, or for that matter for any other disease, then there is some very important information I've discovered recently that's actually been around since about 1990, but I didn't know about, even though I was looking for cures for cancer for my own patients. It was only recently when I was looking for a cure for my mother's cancer that I discovered this information, and I now want to share it with you because it's had such amazing effects for my mother. My mother was told that there was nothing left for her, that her cancer had spread too far and there was nothing that could be done. She was looking very ill and feeling very ill, and I was not convinced that she was going to make it. However, with a combination of treatments, including the Beck protocol, which you're about to learn about if you watch this series of videos, she, in less than 6 weeks, was like a different person. She's continuing to use it now, but even in 6 weeks, almost all of her symptoms and signs had disappeared. And she's just about to go on holiday, which was not in the plan at that time. So I hope you will take the time to watch these videos. I've split them up rather than watching it all in one go to make it easier. But please watch all of them because it is very important information. And then let me know how you get on, because I'd like to hear about your experience with using this technology too.
Is it possible to zap or electrocute a disease with a low voltage electric current and efficiently neutralize it and possibly reverse the disease? Dr. Robert Beck thinks so, and he's not the only one who does. He is consultant to the U.S. Navy, officer of surface weaponry on the subject of ELF, that's electromagnetic field, that's what it means, detection. He has also designed and built extremely sensitive magnetometers for the Navy. Now please join me in giving a nice, warm, granatiform welcome to Dr. Robert Beck.
If 5 years ago anyone had said that I would be standing before a group, or any group, telling you that there had been a breakthrough in medicine that's probably the most significant thing made in this century, I would have said this is con, this is snake oil, this is preposterous. But for the last 5 years, I've spent my own money, no government grants, no research funds, no university funds, in investigating a thing which literally has proven to be the most remarkable thing for all diseases that I have ever heard of personally. And I've been in this field for about 40 years. I have a stack of IRB studies, and the doctors will recognize what these are. Laboratory reports of major hospitals around the United States, and until these are peer review published, I'm not supposed to show them to anyone who is not a medical doctor because of patient confidentiality. Now, how many of you have read that there is no cure for AIDS? We all have. That is an absolute lie. There has been a perfectly workable, 95% accurate cure for HIV and cancer and herpes and hepatitis and Epstein-Barr and about a dozen other incurable diseases, which was invented on March the 11th, 1990 at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York City by a Dr. Calley and Wymans. And what happened to this breakthrough, which is far more important than penicillin, antibiotics, anything you can name? It has been suppressed. And why has this information been withheld from you, which you can easily prove for yourself? Don't take my word for anything here, check it out. I found recently that the mob, owns about 51% of major pharmaceutical houses, as well as working the other side of the track with the illegal drugs from South and Central America and China. The medical cartels in this country will charge you from $50,000 to $200,000 if you have terminal cancer, and this is for surgery and chemotherapy and radiation and hospital care. And I think I have one prop here that I want to use now. Oh, somebody stole it Sunday, but I usually hold up a package of Wrigley's Spearmint chewing gum. That packet of chewing gum cost me a nickel when I was a young man. I paid $1.32 for that package of 5 sticks of chewing gum at the Chicago airport recently. That was $1 for the gum, taxes, handling. Are you listening? The price of that package of chewing gum is every penny that it takes to cure, and I'm not supposed to use this word because only a doctor may use the word cure, shame on me, most of the unknown diseases in America today. And why haven't you heard about this? Because General Electric, Westinghouse, other companies have billions of dollars tied up in X-rays, CAT scanners, MRIs that are leased to health management organizations. And for $1.32, you can cure yourself without doctors, without pharmaceuticals, without medicine, certainly without surgery, certainly without chemotherapy, any drugs, any herbs, any no-sods, any homeopathic remedies. You can do it for yourself, and it has been done. And the last time I was at a hospital who was doing these studies, would you come up here for a second, Miss Health Professional, or if that embarrasses you, where's the boss? Oh, okay. People keep asking, why haven't they heard about this? Why aren't there hospital studies? There are hundreds of them. You probably recognize this laboratory. We're not supposed to say it out loud. Immunodiagnostic Laboratory, San Leandro. And these are PCR tests, polymerase chain reaction, the test that Dr. Kary Mullis won the Nobel Prize on in 1993. We started with a group of about 24 AIDS subjects in 1995. Their counts, this one was 573,982 on August the 30th, 95. This one was 418,000, etc. Now let's take one of these along. You're not supposed to mention the name, although this chap came forward and said that I may use this information in any way. At this date, August the 11th, 1998, he had only about 3,063 particles of HIV in his blood. But now, as this test develops, if we look at this test, PCR, on 11/3/95, this was several months later, the count was less than 100, which means that it was 0 as far as the test was concerned, right? Mm-hmm. We have 1.5 stacks, thank you very much, of these reports where every single one of these full-blown AIDS patients, every single one, although many of them were on life support, many of them required attendants to lift them from the bed onto the potty. These people are symptom-free now. Every single one of them is back at work. Not one of them has the symptoms of AIDS. So when you read in your newspaper, the baseball game this Saturday, the proceeds will be donated to a search for AIDS. That is an absolute lie. There is and has been a cure for AIDS, all AIDS, a cure for cancer, about 95% of it, 100% cure for Epstein-Barr, hepatitis, lupus, about a 50% cure for herpes, and I've been funding these out of my own pocket. I have absolutely nothing whatsoever for sale. God has been exceedingly good to me. I think I'm going about my Father's business here, and I'm paying for it myself, and I am giving it to the world. Thank you, Evan. I see several old friends in the audience. Evan and I were quite close when I was co-chairman of the Psychotronics Association and the Dowsers and pretty kooky gooks, things like that. But we go in our paper, which is available back here for our Jane is standing up, the blonde young lady. She has the papers. The only thing I'm doing is getting my Xeroxing money back for having printed these up and not charging a penny for the $85,000 worth of research. The paper is entitled, are you ready for this? Take Back Your Power. Here it is again, take back your power. You do not need doctors, nurses, chiropractors, herbs, pharmaceuticals, surgery. Only if you're going along with the politically correct solutions do you need these things that your neighbors have been depending on for these many generations. The paper was entitled Blood Electrification and Immunity. That means immune system restoration with microcurrents. A proven, startling, rapid, inexpensive, and safe discovery for positive, incurable remissions. Now, we found that this information has been suppressed. The doctors who discovered this, and let me tell you about the discovery. In 1990, they put a couple of small platinum wires into a petri dish that contained highly infected human blood. And the infection here was a very, very strong dose of HIV, which is supposedly the cause of AIDS. They found that if they had when they had electrified this blood, the HIV could no longer attach to any receptor sites in the blood. That means the CD4, the T cells, helper cells, could not be infected by the HIV. Your paper's free, Wayne. Oh, okay. Thank you. Now, they predicted in an article, which is in your paper, you don't need to take any notes tonight, the only mention of this incredible discovery was in Science News, March the 30th, 1991, page 207. And don't ever get old, you'll need these. Shocking treatment proposed for AIDS. And it tells about how these two doctors had given a paper on this process. William D. Lyman and his colleagues, the research team at Albert Einstein, their experiments described March 14th in Washington, D.C. at the first International Symposium on Combination Therapies showed that the shocked viruses lost the ability to make an enzyme crucial for their reproduction and could no longer cause the white cells to clump together, two key signs of viral infection. The only papers which I was able to find that got into the American press were Science News, March 30th, 1991, an article in Longevity magazine, and these are fully reprinted in your papers, electrocuting the AIDS virus. But what happened in the Longevity article, which was December 1992, page 14, Dr. Cully said, it will be 15 years before this process is ready for human experimentation. We have been doing it sub rosa with patient consent for over 5 years here, and we have the test results to prove it. And every time I lecture, about a dozen people came up. We had 800 people in one room on Saturday, and say, Bob, this is an 80-year-old attorney. He's on my tape. You can hear him tell you this in his own voice. I was sent home to die. My cancer had metastasized all through my lymph system. I was told to go home and make my will. I, at the most, had about 2 or 3 weeks to live. Were any of you there when this man grabbed the microphone and gave us? Usually there are 2 or 3 people who heard this gentleman. He's 80 years old and an attorney. He said, I went home and I made my will, and I saw your article in some magazine. I think it was 73, so it's been republished in dozens of magazines. He said, I did it. I am now free of all cancer. My biopsies are clean. My CAT scans are clean. I went back to work, and having been an attorney, I had to work 16 hours for a few months to catch up for all the time that I was in intensive care. Now I'm jogging 3 miles a day. and there were tears running down his face.